Yo, what up, YouTube? I'm in a 4D-ish type of world where the fourth dimension has been introduced to the third dimension, and therefore in this world we have things such as gaslighting, and so on and so forth, because individuals are existing in fourth dimensional rooms, right? And if you know fourth dimensional rooms or fourth dimensional shapes, okay, they somewhat propulse or ovulate, okay, as a womb. These shapes move and transform and take shape. So you exist inside of a transformer, all right? Your reality, your earth, or what have you, whatever you see, you don't see the encompassing of the entire planet. And this is why the earth is flat, because you exist on a plane, all right, which you correlate with the ideation of the earth. And we have intersecting realities and portals, so on and so forth. But as we perceive this world, because it's a fourth dimensional tesseract or a torus, the way that reality is animate through interpolation, okay, of these matriarchal, polygonal, if you will, shapes, all right, which if he had several of them that were very small and shapes that overlap one another, such as a tesseract and a torus, let's say they overlap. I don't know exactly how this works, but in between where these two shapes connect and what have you, at their intersecting points, of which you have two different pictures of reality colliding together to form symmetrical instances, okay, of shapes in their interpolation state when they shift or move or transform before you. These would be transformers. These are the rooms or the dimensions that you exist in. And so, like, my thoughts take, for instance, correlate with the birds in the air and the cars that drive by. For instance, with each shifting of my thoughts, so for there is a car or a bird that animates in correlation to the things that I think pertaining to the existential world or animation. So the internal and the external is becoming aligned to a certain degree. You understand what I'm saying? To such extent, all matters of temptation when it comes upon a man, written in James, will seem to correlate with the core of an individual when this individual begins to think, dream, or fantasize about good things. And these good things sometimes can be in forms of temptations, and then them temptations take personification and transform out the matriarchy of the polygons, and yet they are as images, but they are unmade because they do not have God's breath, lacking a conscience. You understand? But the base knowledge of this operating individual is in such a primitive state or an old world state in which that individual is as an archetype. They have mass amounts of knowledge, okay, that pertain to this world, able to do anything they put their mind to pertaining to knowledge and functioning within this world, as in getting a job or knowing how to go about things that individuals typically wouldn't know about. Being as a walking Wikipedia, okay? These individuals go according to knowledge, and in such knowledge of things, but not of oneself, having such essence, blends in with the environment. But from a spiritual dynamic, to be a star, in the beginning, God separated the light from the darkness. In such, a light shined into the darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Pertaining to a star is an individual that's set apart or separated, pertaining to their conscious and their ways of life, their lifestyles and their ways of thinking, which ways supersedes psychology. Psychology is based upon a perception and a perspective. And if that perspective is hived and hived in a collective, so forth, there is magic. And this magic can be seizure, but it all exists within a hive. And if one is not separate, one is in the constant turbulence of unseeable forces, voices and influences, frequencies and energies, and so forth, like intentions. And these things I'm just not a part of, like the brotherhood. So I get shunned by all. A man of God is like a samurai who walks alone amongst these invisible spaces of glass that holds intelligence like mass, weight, density, depth, memories as recordings that we would call ghosts as we walk through these spaces, being animate, interpolating as we're walking past 1,000-pane window made out of glass, such as the same that when they intersect is the change at every point, creating animation that we would call a spirit. And when these things cease, it pertains to perception, and one is perceived to have died, but died physically is not the same as that which is spiritual, though a portion of it coincides. It's the difference between the ways that an individual thinks and does not necessarily pertain to psychology, as psychology is a subset. If you're thinking of thinking and consciousness from a top-down perspective, take the philosophy of Roger Penrose pertaining to this from a top-down dynamic, then your perception or your perspective will be a subset of your perspective would be a subset of your perception. And this would base the way that you think also, unless you do things spiritually, and in such a spiritual way, you learn of a way or understand things according to faith. There's no way to connect the dots. And once you get on that track, there is different rates of growth. The scary thing about God is he only made one path, though people consider darkness one also, even though darkness is not a path. In the beginning, God created the light and separated it from the darkness, which means ignorance is separated from wisdom. Knowledge is a subset of wisdom, and having knowledge but not the wisdom could go into your decision making, which would be based upon your knowledge and your experience. But wisdom is knowledge applied, which would be experience. You understand what I'm saying? So lacking the wisdom leaves one in everlasting chains to make the same mistakes as they always did before if individuals have knowledge but lack wisdom. This would correlate with the evolution, if you will, of mankind's psychology. If mankind's psychology has evolved, or if we truly learn more, or did we learn from our mistakes? Did we make more mistakes in which we made advancements out of accidentally than we have actually achieved and accomplished things by intention? Is a way of thinking and is an archetype of an archetype. So when you think of this thing, this would change the entire dynamic of an individual all the way down to their psychology, which would separate wisdom from ignorance or the light from darkness, which wisdom is supreme. Knowledge is an attribute. You can be in love, but if you're not in love in truth, then what's the point? Think about it. then it's not love at all. You're in a lie. And the world around you is a lie. And this lie is constantly passing you by while you get FOMO, and you're also passing, but not really, just physically, along with this world. So your body is a part of this world, and they're both passing you by. That's only if you're spiritual and you have wisdom and you get your life from God. But if you don't, then your spirit is passing with your body along with this world and your knowledge also. And there's nothing for me to talk about, so we're separated. We call that divorce. The ways of the flesh are contrary to the ways of God. The ways we think are far below our concerns and our leanings. Of all my strengths, of my weakness, I found my weakness is that I get bored. And in there, Pandora's box, if I'm not careful. How many have fell in this trap? The weight of your might and all you could do is being trapped in a room and you can't do anything. Even though you could do all things, that type of potential to be still and not move, lacking animation, and we call this life. There's just some places in scripture I don't agree with. Pride of man, of the life of man, is the separation of man being carbonite from nature when all things were one in harmony. And I can't say that I feel bad for being here, walking around in the flesh, but according to the ways that man thinks, it makes it hard to argue. And I do not argue with God. However, I don't separate spirit from nature. You see, the Bible does clean your mind, but does it clean your mind like cocaine on a mirror? You have to rightly divide truth. How is that possible if it's all relevant? Except if you divide spirit from nature. And nature becomes divided, and the spirit of nature, that which is physical in this polygon, gets separated from itself, then that would be like a mind filleting. And you are like filet mignon. And your business brings beef upon the earth, and we rape her for her resources, and we separate her from her husband. I am in the spirit of God and I am one with nature. Men have touched that book like they have molested children in the church, and I won't be accepted. I got kicked from outside of church from sitting outside. My family has rejected me based on my intelligence. That's why I hid it ever since I was 13. And they say that they love me, and it hurts. No different than Courtney LaPlante in a song, The Mara Effect. She said, when they say that they will pray for me, she was saying that it hurts because she could discern that they were full of shit and they weren't really going to do it. You understand what I'm saying? Then we look upon this world and we spread our disease by the way that we think, knowing that disease came down with the way that we think. We sowed a spiritual seed and that became our reality. I'm walking on the fucking freeway every single day just to exercise for 1 hour. I can't get no birds because they all getting molested in hotel rooms that are rented down, getting bucked apart. They body turned to shit. Mother Earth, look what they did to her. Rented her clothes and made her a whore. She does it for the gram or she does it for money. Either way, I can't stand her. Now we call bitches thoughts. But I don't think about it because I'm absent-minded. This world is so traumatic, I just disassociate. That's what the traffic is, and niggas walk around, and the light is separated from the darkness. And they're like birds of prey, because they ain't never seen me before. Ninja magician. I don't even gotta hide. These niggas is constantly seeking. I can sense the paranoia in the common consensus because they carry so many secrets, they can't tell the truth. Then we want to speculate if a nigga's autistic. My mother's so blind I should be having 1,000,000 kids because I'm gifted. Never mind. These motherfuckers be hollow and so blind they still celebrate holidays like Christmas. But they don't accept my presence of a gifted individual that gives them spirit of truth and life. That Bible has been tampered with. In such a manner, God knew that he would be blamed, so he sent his son. I've been walking on water. But my family still goes to church while they keep me locked up. I got less movement range than my mother's dog in my house. She know what I'm going through. She go with the third eye God. They used to be my former job. I think that's interesting. Can't wait to see what they say when they see me and I'm in my royal garb and I'm higher than they think. And they won't be able to do nothing about it. And I'll smile. Knowing that they was possessed and killing the archetype that they was under that was acting out of order and it wasn't right. This is according to a flesh that goes against the ways of nature, such as the saying, men work the unseemly. Instead of progeniting in their reasoning, thinking they're going to survive a generation in their pride, see how pride connects with their knowledge, and that knowledge falls short of God. While they front and spoil all the women and their legs of the women in this day. Beautiful is their faces, though their legs look like they've been hit by a Tommy gun and they smell pretty interesting. Then they want to come up to a real nigga with principles and ethics and morals that'll treat them right and act like they're stuck up when they should be crawling. This ain't no real red pill. You just ain't never heard a real man before. So what have you been fucking? And I can't fuck with you because what you've been fucking with, I just don't mix them alcohols. I only drink wine. Peace and blessings be with you all, man. You know what I'm saying? We live in a world, you know, there's three types of love. There's Eros love. Eros love is self-centered. And it's about the flesh, one's own interests. It's just as in frolicking. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Then it is the most sensual form of affection. Then we have philia, things that you enjoy, little niches that you enjoy, things of this nature, fetishes, so on and so forth. Or common interests of associations such as passing a joint will bring people together quicker than the truth will or a whole bunch of lies. You understand what I'm saying? So the fact of the matter is associations such as drugs and things of this nature is very easy to figure out. People pertaining to sociology, see, we're not that advanced. We're really quite simple. And we follow a trajectory of error. It's very easy to hunt. That's why I don't do it. I'm afraid I'll be good at it. You understand? So we have philia, which is we-oriented, meaning things you engage in with your circles or groups of people that have common interests and types of mind, types of knowledge, psychology, leanings, habits, so on and so forth. These are associations, the philias. Then we have agape love, which is the type of love that Christ talked about, the highest form of love, which is altruistic love for all people, so on and so forth. But in such this love, it being true love, not being a whore or out for public affection, but to guide and lead the public because you can see that they're lost. And those who don't have this love can't see as I see. Then these females or my mother or anybody think they can walk up to me and talk to me any type of way. I was planning for 13 for others to look down on me so I could carry this word. And the burden was light. But the people who said that they loved me weren't. They turn me into a curse while using my advice. These vultures. But they tell me to call them beautiful. Sometimes they act cool with me. They play search songs. I could tell that they playing them for me because they're afraid. I could sense the fear in them like an animal. Even though I act more civilized, they're always backwards. I could tell what you're doing. Being retrobate pertains to certain activities. It doesn't only pertain to certain lifestyles. I know what's going on. Don't you ever fuck with me just by how you thinking. Thinking Jesus would pick you over me, you must be missing. The advice I'm giving you can't even deal with. I separate the church like I'm Moses. Jesus had how many disciples? You have how many in your fellowship? Nobody will deal with me. I'm posting on the internet. Not even those who are non-believers who are looking for a problem. Not even some fucking trolls. What more proof do you need? Your blindness I can't help. And therein you try to stifle me. Keep me in a kennel. Leave me on this broke down diet out of envy. I suppose of my exercise and my ambitions, though I don't have none, I just call that maintenance. Stuck in a hive, the spirit you possess with has stole my bike and it doesn't return. While I walk through this fucking desert. We live in a world where they show a video of Diddy chasing down Cassie in a hotel room, throwing her on the ground, I guess kicking her twice, right? Though none of us can condone violence, the thing we can't speak about is spirits, and we all know the spirit that was inside of Cassie that would make Diddy a mogul do that much shit means she had to be doing something. Why would he be motivated to do anything to her? That'd be like the president going after his secretary in such the same way. There's gotta be something more involved. And they didn't have shit to do with love, so you know he couldn't be tripping. He got the money to pay for anything he wants. So, this is not something he would do on camera, and obviously he would be conscious about something he would do that over, had to be that serious. It's just whether this shit that is shady won't be mentioned by either one of them because they both were doing dirt. That she has found a narrow, conniving way to put the pressure on Diddy. Then they surface that footage 8 years later? Nah. I don't know if I go for that. She wasn't with him out of love, so what was she with him for? I don't condone the violence, but at the same time, that depends on what she was doing. And if she's painting a clear picture, it would take a lot for a man to run out of his room in a towel and kick a female twice inside of a hotel. It would take an awful lot and to throw something at her just for the common man's emotions to get so irate, especially at his level, and considering those secret circles and what they do in them. He ain't tripping on her like that. She had to be up to some shit. 1000%. You should know that back in the day that Diddy never sold drugs. So I think the individual is innocent. You don't see him typically as some type of street nigga. And street niggas you don't see doing this type of behavior. Though you've seen this shit with athletes and music moguls. Isn't that interesting that you don't see ghetto niggas like that? So this is my point. Pertaining to perception, this world, this fourth dimensional reality, this desert that looks like a world that's around me. You know what I'm saying? There's 3 types of love, and considering your intentions, your principles, your morals, the whole 9, how all that comes together in your spirit, that's what you're going to see. But know that there's many archetypes that can make your way of thinking completely separate than the way of someone else's. But there will always be a medium range where you can measure back to the truth from either angle, and you should reach Christ. And if you can't do this thing, then just know you're exposed. You can't come up to me any type of way. Peace and blessings be with you all. I'm out.